When they started an investigation from Dia's home, they had saw some blood-stained bead sheets, 2 spent bullet shells, and 2 handwritten messages. Also, the investigators had started questioning Keith for this case. But Keith had ignored all the confessions against him in this mysterious disappearance of Dia. On December 23, 2021, Keith placed a call to 911 and informed that Jody Newkirk, a mother of 2, had been killed in an all-terrain vehicle rollover accident. What happened to Dia? Who was Keith Harper? What happened to Dia's properties? This is your partner in crime stories. Subscribe, and let's move along this mysterious journey ahead. On June 6, 2020, a 65-year-old lady named Lydia Dia Abrams went missing while residing at Bonita Vista Ranch in Mountain Center, California. She was known to be a very kind and friendly woman and was a mother of 2 adult children. She had a close affinity for animals and treated each individual who was friendly and kind to her heart with care and affection. Clem Abrams was Dia's spouse. They lived happily for 34 years until his passing in 2018. Clem and Dia enjoyed a quite luxurious life and were owners of a $1 million property. Clem had worked as a real estate developer, through which he was able to make his family financially stable without depending on others. Dia and Clem were a loving couple blessed with a daughter named Crisara and a son named Clinton. After Clem's unfortunate demise, Dia transferred most of their ownerships to her children. However, some properties were not accessible to Dia after her husband's death, leading to a legal dispute within the family. It is heartbreaking to see a family go through such turmoil during already difficult times. It is important to ensure that legal disputes are resolved peacefully and fairly so that the family can move forward and heal together. Keith Harper was Dia's fiancé. After Clem's death, she found companionship with him. Keith was employed by the state of Utah as a prison officer. However, it's worth noting that he had a criminal record in the past. In the year 2000, he confessed to kidnapping, torturing women, and domestic violence. And in 2011, Keith was also confessed for torturing 2 women while they were on a snowmobile excursion offered by his company during Outlaw River and Jeep tours. The jury had also pleaded Keith as the one who was responsible for such incidents. He was also kept on probation for 4 years too. Soon after Dia was missing, the first person to report a missing file for Dia was Keith on June 6, 2020. They lived together by sharing love for a considerable period and also were engaged to be married. What he had informed the police was that he and Dia were having lunch at around 2:30 p.m. On that day, Dia was ready to talk something important with Keith. Due to his working at the ranch, he had suggested that he come after finishing it. At around 7:30 p.m., Keith visited their house, but Dia was not there. Dia had left her mobile phone, pocketbook, keys, and Ford truck behind. After realizing that, the police started their investigations that morning, but nothing had been found. Even a piece of evidence was not there. The search for answers continues as investigators work tirelessly to uncover the truth behind Dia's disappearance. With steadfast determination, legal authorities in California are diligently pursuing every lead to bring closure to this mysterious case. When they started an investigation from Dia's home, they had saw some blood-stained bead sheets, 2 spent bullet shells, and 2 handwritten messages. Also, the investigators had started questioning Keith for this case, but Keith had ignored all the confessions against him in this mysterious disappearance of Dia. We are sorry to hear about the situation. Keith seems to believe that their children are solely responsible for Dia's disappearance. Prior to her missing, Dia was involved in a legal dispute with her son, Crisara, and his daughter, Clinton. In 2016, Dia transferred all 4 of her properties, as well as her 2006 Lexus and all other assets, to them. It must be difficult to cope with the uncertainty surrounding Dia's disappearance, and I hope that the situation is resolved soon. We understand that Dia had to make a tough decision, which resulted in her children leaving her. It must have been difficult for her to cope with the changes that came with it. In response, Dia made some changes to her trust to ensure that her wishes are carried out according to her preferences. It's understandable that she needed someone she trusts to be in charge of her estate, and I hope her decision brings her peace of mind. It's with a heavy heart that we share this news about Dia's trust. Dia's neighbor, Diana Fetter, has been appointed as the co-trustee for her properties. The amendment left nothing but her love and affection to her children, Clinton Abrams and Crisara Abrams. However, Dia had also made sure to remember those who had made a difference in her life, leaving $5,000 each to Isidro Garcia, a longtime ranch employee, and Julie Stanford. It's comforting to know that Dia had people in her life who meant so much to her. It's hard to imagine what Dia's loved ones must be going through right now. Dia disappeared suddenly, and without a trace only a little over a week and a half ago. According to her neighbor, Fetter, Dia had been feeling afraid of her children during that period. Fetter also shared that Dia once confided in her, saying that if anything were to happen to her, she felt her children would be to blame. She even made Fetter promise that they wouldn't be allowed in the home. It's a heartbreaking situation, and my thoughts are with Dia's family and friends during this difficult time. We understand that Dia's disappearance has been a difficult time for everyone involved. Diana Fetter, after Dia's disappearance, decided to leave her house and relocate. During an interview, a reporter mentioned that the ranch's mortgage was many months overdue. It can be tough to deal with such accusations, but Diana Fetter was quick to deny them and stated that she pays the bills regularly and can provide proof. She empathized with the challenges that Diana Fetter and everyone else involved are facing during this difficult time. It seems that Keith and Fetter have taken over the property now. It must have been difficult for Isidro, a longtime ranch worker, to hear about the situation from Keith. I can understand how Keith may feel about wanting to live for another 5 years, but it's unfortunate that it's tied to the legal requirement in California for claiming Dia's inheritance worth $1 million. I'm here if you need someone to talk to about this. It's understandable that Clinton and his sister Crisara filed a petition on March 9, 2021 to have Keith and Fetter removed from Dia's trust. The document raises concerns that Keith may have been involved in a crime that resulted in Dia's disappearance, and that he has been romantically linked with Diana since the beginning of their relationship. This must be a difficult and emotional time for all involved, and we hope that the situation can be resolved in a fair and just manner for everyone involved. On December 23, 2021, Keith placed a call to 911 and informed that Jody Newkirk, a mother of 2, had been killed in an all-terrain vehicle rollover accident. The 46-year-old woman was an experienced horse handler who had been working at the ranch for the past 4 months. She had lived by renting a house from Keith that was owned by Dia while she resided there. The cause of death of Jody was stated undetermined in the autopsy report, although the meth overdose was discovered, since there was no piece of evidence to prove them all went like that. During the process of packing up Jordy's stuff from Dia's place, her relatives discovered multiple diary entries and letters written to Keith that were located in her home. It's disheartening to hear that there may have been a relationship between 2 individuals that took a turn towards animosity. Based on the letters from Jody, it appears that Keith may not have been truthful about his identity, and that Jody was not compensated for her work on the ranch. Jody also expressed apprehension about a letter she received from Keith. It must have been a distressing experience for both individuals involved. It's a difficult situation, but we want to ensure that everything is handled with care and empathy. An independent trustee will be appointed to manage and distribute the estate of Abrams, which includes the Bonita Vista Ranch and 2 residential properties in Mountain Center. If any assets or properties are sold, the proceeds will be retained by the independent trustee. We hope to bring some closure to this situation by offering a $300,000 reward to anyone who provides information leading to the arrest and conviction of those responsible for Abrams' disappearance. Our thoughts are with all those affected by this tragedy. Keith Harper currently resides on the Bonita Vista Ranch and will remain as a co-trustee with limited powers. His role is to preserve the ranch property and cattle until the property is sold based on the settlement provisions. We understand that if Dia Abrams is found to be deceased, or if she is not found by June 6, 2025, 5 years after her disappearance, 50% of her liquidated wealth will go to her adult children, and the remaining 50% will go to Keith Harper. What do you think about this case? Stay tuned. We'll catch you with a new nail-biting crime thriller tomorrow.